So a dentist told you that you need a crown, and you don't understand what or why. This is Dental Crowns Explained. People have things that happen with their teeth. I mean, either decay or trauma. Sometimes the trauma could take the tooth all the way out and you got to do something else. But what if the decay isn't that bad and the trauma isn't that bad, but the tooth has suffered some damage? What are we going to do? That is when you start looking at the possibility of getting a dental crown. Now, a dental crown is different than fillings. There's two kinds of fillings that have been done over the years. There are those silver ones that you've seen that your mom and dad might have. They have mercury in them, but the only reason why the mercury's in there is to make the chemical activate so that it goes from a soft material to a hard material, which is how you get that metal in your mouth. That's a filling. Another filling is something called the composite resin filling. And basically it's tooth-colored filling that gets condensed or pushed into the cavity preparation after they've taken out the decay in there, and they put this dental filling in there. The only problem with the dental filling is that over time, the dental filling comes away from the walls of the cavity prep, allowing liquid, which has bacteria on it, into the tooth, causing problems in the long run. So, this is when you might need something like a crown, a dental crown. Dental crowns over the years have really, really improved. So in these crown preparations, the dentists, or the back in the day dentists, will have prepared the tooth so the tooth is this big and now it's just a little bit smaller. They take an impression of that little bit smaller. They put a temporary on your tooth in order to keep the space and to keep the tooth inside clean. They send that impression to a laboratory, and then the laboratory comes back with a crown that hopefully sits on your tooth correctly, hopefully. Sometimes people get the temporary and they think that's the permanent crown until they find out that it's not. And then it becomes a problem for them because the tooth has decayed underneath the temporary crown, because really it was supposed to be just temporary. Some people can make crowns for you in the same visit of your appointment. That's what we do at Camp Creek Dental, but let's talk about it. CAD/CAM is like this machine right here. This is called a prime scan. It's made by this company called Sirona, which is a German company. They are very exact with all of their measurements. So here's the tooth that was prepared now. It's able to take the upper jaw, which is going to be the opposite bite. So you're going to know that when you actually put it together, exactly how much space you have in order to put a proper crown in there. So that's that. And then with this machine, you go to the model stage and you'll be able to have the computer draw a line where the crown is going to stop and where it meets the tooth. And then it'll design the tooth for you. Now that is all done at the same appointment. So here's the crown right here. That green represents where the contact is, because when you're flossing your teeth, you always want it to pop through, snap through. And that's that green on the front side of the tooth. And there's another green on the back side of the tooth. And this tooth is ready to go. So now you can see the crown in the arch on the side that it's on, and then you can see how it's going to look with the bite. And it just fits right in there. And all dentists that have this technology are so appreciative of this technology. Why? Because those impressions that we used to take, we'd have to take the impression and then send it to the lab, and it depends on what time of year it is. Summer too hot, winter too cold. It can distort even if it was a perfect impression, but it can distort that impression, and then the lab will take the distorted impression, make a tooth, send it to the dentist. About 2 or 3 weeks later, the dentist now gets the tooth from the distorted impression that they didn't know about, and you come in finally anxious to get your tooth and they go to put it on and it doesn't fit so well. We got to start that all over again. You're back in the temporary. That's old days. Usually those crowns were made of porcelain fused to a metal substrate. But these crowns right here, these are made of a material called lithium disilicate, which is a glass-like material at the end of the day, but it's very strong. So these crowns are made in the day of your appointment, at the time you get your appointment. And if you have a dentist that's doing that, you have a really, really great dentist. And I commend that dentist for doing that for you, because it limits the time that you're in the chair. I know you have a busy schedule. So once I prepare the tooth and my team images what I've done, now we're ready to what's called manufacture your tooth. And in manufacturing your tooth, we send it to one of my 2 mills that I have here now. And that mill will take a block. It'll cut the tooth that I've designed out of that block. Once it comes out of this block, it's in what's called the blue state. It's still not ready. It has to be finally crystallized, just like any lab would do for this type of crown material. So it goes into an oven. The oven takes about 15 minutes to do the final crystallization, and it comes out shiny and slickery, just like your tooth. And then we bond it on with a couple materials, a dry, clean area. We bond that crown on there. We make sure that we have the floss able to go in and out with a little snap and a pop so that you'll be able to floss your teeth, which is so important on a daily basis. You must floss your teeth, and particularly, please, floss your new crowns. It's important that we're able to do these things, particularly in one appointment, because you don't want to have the prepared but not covered, permanently covered tooth just out there in the world. If the tooth has gotten something like a root canal, it can make the tooth more brittle because you've taken out the nerve and blood supply of that tooth. You would do a root canal because the tooth had so much decay that it probably was causing you some sensitivity to cold or heat or when you were biting on it. And what happens is that this weak tooth goes out, back out with you, and you eat a peanut or something like that and you break the tooth and now you can't put a crown on it, which is why it's important to get the crown on the prepared tooth, the final crown on the prepared tooth, as soon as possible. The crowns that we do here, if anyone's interested in or needing a crown from us, takes about 2 hours, 2.5 hours or so, only for the processing time to make sure that you are able to get through the little procedure that I got to do in order to prepare your tooth. I might have to slow down for you, but that's okay. We'll make sure that you're comfortable. That's all I really wanted to help you understand about dental crowns. They are an amazing modality of treatment in order to save a tooth. You still have to take care of it yourself. You still have to go to your local dental appointments and get your teeth cleaned at the proper intervals. All that is still happening, even though it seems like you now have a bionic tooth. You still got to take care of yourself with good food, sleep, exercise, detoxification, and mindfulness behavior. Did you see how I slipped that in there? Anyway, thanks so much for watching again, guys, and we'll talk to you later. Doing a crown for Miss Alicia. This is the pre-cementation shot that I have. That's the crown prep underneath it, and this is the crown right here, and it's just gonna sit right up on there. No problem. The particular material that we use is a very friendly material called Emax, which is also called lithium disilicate. And we have a bonding technique that we use in order to make sure that it works, because it's chemical this, chemical that, bond, 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 and you're done, right? So this right here is just the first agent of the bond, okay? So dry the tooth, make my light go yellow so I don't start curing it before it's time. Make sure it gets kind of soaked in there.
Or, Hey, Jack. What time you go? Oh, she's on the phone? Oh, okay.
Let's push it.
Wow.
Make sure that she can floss her teeth. And it's got to have some contact. It can't just fall right through there. It's got to be a little click and a pop. Jelly, then we're gonna light it after that one more time. And this jelly around here makes it so that any moisture that could be in it doesn't get out, and it cures all the way inside.